And another thing I want to add is it's okay to lie. Hello everyone, it's your girl Chidera, aka Vibes with Adoibo, and welcome back to my channel. I know you've missed me. I have missed you too. If you're new here, you're welcome. If you are returning, thank you for watching my videos. Make sure that you are subscribed and give this video a thumbs up for me. Today we're going to be talking all about essays. I'm going to be giving you some tips on how to write some award-winning essays, be it for scholarship, the college essay, or even for an internship. Well, this video I'm actually going to be focusing more on the college essay because I feel like once you get that one down, you can easily apply these strategies to any other type of essay. So without much talking, let us get into this video. Alright, so before I begin, just a little background info on the college essay, or just essays in general. So usually when they tell you, or when you're applying for something, there's always the essay portion of the application where you get to really explain why you are interested in this program, why you're interested in this college, why you're interested in this scholarship. So that's really what the essay portion in the application is about. So I have divided my strategies into 3 different phases or categories. The first is the pre-writing phase. Here you get to plan out exactly what you want to write about. Next is the writing phase where you actually write the essay. And lastly is the editing phase where you proofread your work and make sure that everything is set to go. So the pre-writing phase. The first thing I would like you to do in this phase is to choose a topic that you are interested in and passionate about. I say this because it is always easier to write about something that you already have interest in. That way you don't have to, go ahead and start doing like additional research. Everything will just flow naturally when you're writing. I'm also going to be showing you guys some screenshots of my college essay so that when I'm telling you something, it's not just me talking. You can actually see what I'm saying being applied. Now, my college essay was about Google, and you're probably wondering like, how is that something that I'm passionate about? Well, how this idea came about was in junior year of high school. That was when we had to write the college essay. My teacher actually made us make a list of things that we were interested in, and we had to create a list of words that described us, because the college essay is something that you're basically telling the school who you are, something else that about yourself that is not in the other parts of your application. So when I made my list of words, I had words like, for example, curiosity, ambitious, goal-oriented. So when I looked through this list, I had to find something that I could tell a story about, or something that I had a lot of things to say from, and that happened to be curiosity. So can you kind of see the connection, Google and curiosity? Because for me, when I moved here, Google was something that I found very resourceful. I was using it all the time to, satisfy my thirst for knowledge. So my advice to you, first, create a list of words that describe you, then you can go from there. After you've chosen a topic that you're passionate about, the next thing I want you to do in the pre-writing phase is to set a deadline / plan ahead. Set a deadline for when you're going to get your essay done. That way you have enough time to get people to review it, and you have enough time to just keep working on it. I already talked about the importance of setting deadlines in a previous video. This was my first video on this channel actually, where I gave 6 tips on how to win scholarships. Be sure to check that out. I will be linking it up here. So when I set deadlines for my essays or applications in general, I make a personal deadline. Maybe the application is due on, December 30th. My deadline will be December 15th. That way I have enough time to actually complete it. And, if anything happens, or, I find myself slacking, I will have enough time to actually complete it, and I wouldn't just be trying to finish the essay a day before it's due. It's very important to note that the college essay takes time. It is something that is a work in progress. You cannot just write it a night before to get the best result. You actually want to pour your heart out into this essay. So, plan ahead, give yourself time. The final thing you want to do in the pre-writing phase before you start your essay is to make sure you understand the prompt. most of these essay prompts are going to be in parts. Sometimes they will ask you, one general basic question like, oh, why do you want this scholarship? Or why do you want to come to our school? But oftentimes that's not the case. They would ask you something like, describe a time that you faced a challenge. How did you overcome the challenge? What lessons did you learn from it? This is a 3-part question, and you really have to be attentive and make sure that you're answering all the parts of the questions in your essay. So make sure that you understand the prompt. In addition to this, try to have an outline. When I wrote my essay, I didn't have like a formal outline, but it was kind of in my head. Like I knew exactly where I was headed. But my advice to you is to, it could be very basic, just intro, body, conclusion, even if it's bullet points for each of these, like what are you going to be talking about? And now, moving on to the writing phase. The first strategy that I have for you is to have a strong introduction. Your intro is the first thing that your reader is going to read. So you really want it to be like mind-blowing. That's something that will get their attention, that they will not want to drop your essay. So in my college essay, I'm going to just read my intro paragraph for you. It says, the first time I heard the word Google, I laughed so hard because I wondered why someone would name his or her business a protective eyewear. Just from reading that sentence, you're like, okay, what is she talking about? Google. What does Google have to do with protective eyewear? I'm able to grasp your attention and you just want to keep reading. So in your intro, obviously you need to have a hook, which is like my first line, which, I was able to grab your attention. You're like, wow, what is she trying to say? So have a strong intro, because that is really going to captivate your audience or your readers. There's multiple people reading these essays, and you just really want to make sure that you hook them so that they can read your essay and enjoy it. Next tip I have for you in the writing phase is to make it personal. Tell a story. So you have to remember that this is your one, if not the only, opportunity that you have to showcase yourself to these people. Your essay portion in any application is one of the most important, honestly, because you just get to showcase who you are as a person. Because like your grades just tell them that you're smart, your extracurriculars tell them this is what I've done, but your essay, like, it's something that people really do look forward to reading, honestly. And bear in mind that most of these reviewers, they spend less than 5 minutes reviewing your entire application. So think about how much time they're spending to review your essay. Now, what makes a good story? So in a good story, you need to have things like a narration. You need to have dialogue going on there. So in this excerpt from my college essay, you can see how I was able to engage my audience. Right after my intro, I was telling a story, engaging you, my audience, with this conversation that I had with a student, which is setting up the rest of my essay. So tell a story. The next strategy that I have for you in the writing phase is to show and don't tell. Make sure you're using emotions. So like I said, you're telling a story. Of course you want to grasp, you want to grab your reader's attention. You want them to stay engaged with your work. So I'm going back to this example of the dialogue in my essay, and I'm just going to read a few lines. It says, I remember arguing with a classmate back in elementary school over the right pronunciation of Google. My friend asked if I knew what the word irritability meant, and I responded saying, I'm not sure, but you could Google it. Quickly, she corrected me saying, it's not Google, it is pronounced Google. I studied her expression and confidence and giggled until she felt embarrassed. I asked her if it was pronounced Google. Why haven't I heard anyone pronounce it that way? So just from this little, 5 lines, you can already literally picture me having a conversation with somebody, and the part where I said I studied her expression and giggle, you can picture you talking to somebody and the other person is like laughing at you, So you really want to evoke your reader's emotion. Use as much rhetorical devices and strategies that you can find, imagery, anything that really evokes the reader's five senses is recommended while telling your story. Another example of me showing and not telling, I would like to refer to this essay that I wrote for my Comcast scholarship. You might have heard the story about this scholarship because I talked about it in that scholarship video. I was telling you guys how I submitted it like a few minutes before it was due and the website literally crashed. You can watch the video for more, but right here, I said, the joy I derive merely from seeing a kid run up to me saying, "Hey Chidera, can you please come work with me?" even before I signed in or hung my coat, is enough to keep me dedicated to working with the children. This single line alone, you can already picture me coming into this homework club where I teach kids and them running up to me to hug me before I, Chidera, can you come and work with me? Like before I literally hung my coat and stuff like that. And another thing I want to add is, it's okay to lie. Lie in a good way. I don't mean lie because you want to tell the admission people what they want to hear. No, I want you to lie because you want to make your story better. Like this conversation, right? Most oftentimes it happened, but it didn't happen the way that I said it happened. Nobody was running up to me, obviously, but when you incorporate little things like that, it really makes a difference. So try as much as you can to show and not tell. So my fourth strategy for the writing phase is to make your point known. Get straight to the point. Like, I know I said tell a story, but you still have to have a point that you're trying to make in this story. I'm just going to summarize quickly what my college essay was about. Basically, I talked about how I had moved from Nigeria, not knowing how to pronounce Google properly, and coming here, finding out that it was actually a resource that I could use to satisfy my thirst for knowledge. My whole point of the essay was to push that I'm a very curious individual. And obviously in your concluding paragraph is where you kind of have to sum it up and really explain your so what, why does it matter? Why does being a curious person matter? What are you hoping to achieve in life, type of thing. So make a point known while you write. Speaking of conclusions, this brings me to my last tip for the writing phase. Stay away from boring conclusions. Avoid it. Run. First of all, I want to say something. You know how you want to end an essay and you're always like, in conclusion, finally. No, just stop it. There's a lot of transition words that you can use to conclude a paragraph aside from those two. There's in the end, there's to sum it up. In summary, there's so many things don't be boring, okay? Literally, my conclusion, I started with, therefore. Therefore, the next time I heard the word Google, I didn't laugh so hard anymore. And you kind of see what I did there. I related it back to my intro. My intro, I talked about how the first time I heard Google, I laughed. My conclusion, I'm telling you how it wasn't funny to me anymore because I had grown so much. I had, learned that this was a resource that I could use to satisfy my thirst for knowledge, and I would even go ahead to teach people the correct pronunciation because I had become exposed. So honestly, in your conclusion, really is where you want to sum everything up. You're not supposed to add new information. You're just summarizing what the whole essay was about, and most importantly, making sure that the intro is also linked in the conclusion. And I want to touch a little bit on the final sentence of your concluding paragraph. This is really where you have to show them, what was the point of reading your essay? Okay, you're a curious individual, and so what? So here I said, through my exposure, I hope to one day reach out to young women all around the world and teach them about the power of technology. I hope to make them aware that by utilizing the right resources, they can become anything they want to be. My relocation taught me important lessons, but finding a way to satisfy my curiosity was more significant. So this is really my what if, why did it matter that I'm curious, because now I'm really telling you, okay, this happened to me, but with everything that I've learned, this is actually what I plan to achieve. So you got to throw a little bit of that in there. And I also wanted to point out that This essay was in response to one of the Common App prompts. I believe it was the second one, talking about what obstacles have you faced. I will put it in here. But that's pretty much it for the writing phase. Make sure that everything from your intro to conclusion is knitted together, and remember, this is a work in progress. You have to keep on working on it. We're going to move into the editing phase right now. But before we do that, if you're still watching, I want you to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. While you're doing that, I would like you to comment something new that you've learned already that you haven't heard before. Thank you. And now we are in the editing phase, the last portion of this video. The first thing that I want you to do, proofread your essay. Even before you start sending it out to people, you gotta proofread. You gotta go back and read. And one thing that I learned is to read it out loud, because when you read out your essay out loud, you actually catch on some things that you might not have noticed, you know, like an extra comma there. Like when you're reading it, it's like, why is this comma here? You know, so reading it out loud is actually a good tip that I learned from high school, and it's really very helpful. So proofread your essay, read it out loud, edit it a little bit before you can send it to somebody else. And that brings me to the final tip for the editing phase. Take advantage of your resources. I also mentioned this in my scholarship video. Again, make sure to check it out if you haven't already. Take advantage of your resources. Utilize your teachers. Utilize your professors, your family, your friends, anybody you know that is good at editing essays. You just want to get as many eyes on your essay as possible. I feel like it's important to at least get one professional to read your essay, because teachers do have this different background that they're coming from, especially if it's an English teacher, you know, that's their field. So they're gonna have a lot of things that can even make your essay better, as opposed to maybe sending it to your science teacher. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's like, try to utilize people, you know, your English teachers, people who actually have a knowledge of writing and stuff like that. And while you want to send it to as many people as possible, be careful that you don't lose your style in the process, because I feel like when people are editing, you know, they're gonna want to make your essay more sophisticated or add a few big words here and there that is not really your style of writing. At the end of the day, you still want your essay to be authentic. So I would say maximum 3 people, no more than 4 people, to be honest, because the more people that review your essay, the more they're taking away and pulling out, you know, your own style of writing. So sometimes it's not every suggestion that you're going to take. You still need to keep yourself in there. Don't lose yourself because you're trying to get professional people to review your essay. Alright guys, that is pretty much the end of this video. I hope that you learned something new. I know that me reading back my college essay, I'm really thankful that I had, you know, the opportunity in my junior year to kind of get a head start in it, and I'm really grateful that my English teacher was actually able to, you know, help us with everything. So if you have any more questions, comment down below. Like I said, comment something that you've learned. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up for me. Share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.